BBC.
Hello and welcome to Witness on the BBC World Service with me, Alex Last. And today, using archive recordings, we tell the story of the former Prime Minister of the Congo, Patrice Lumumba, who was murdered in January 1961.
My beloved wife, I'm writing these words not knowing whether they will reach you, when they will reach you, and whether I shall still be alive when you read them.
From a prison cell in the Congo in late 1960, Patrice Lumumba wrote to his family for the last time.
Dead or alive, free or imprisoned by the colonialists, it's not I who matter. It's the Congo. It's our poor people whose independence has been turned into a cage.
His rise was meteoric. The bright young son of a farmer from Kasai province, he'd been a postal clerk, beer salesman and trade unionist before, in 1958, becoming one of the founders of the first truly national Congolese political party, the MNC. Lumumba was an eloquent, passionate speaker, a Pan-Africanist, and his party campaigned for an end to Belgian colonial rule. Politician Anicet Kashimura was a friend of Lumumba.
We wanted to be absolutely anti-colonial. That may sound infantile, but it was about the immediate liberation of Africa. Lumumba wanted to harness that big idea and use it to create pressure for the immediate independence of the Congo.
Under pressure, Belgium announced in January 1960 it would end colonial rule. Elections were scheduled for May, independence a month later. Lumumba's party won the elections, he became Prime Minister. His political rival, Joseph Kasavubu, became President. On Independence Day, the 30th of June 1960, the King of Belgium flew to Leopoldville, now Kinshasa, for the ceremony. He gave a speech praising the achievements of Belgian colonialism and the role played by his uncle, King Leopold. Yet Leopold's rule in Congo was synonymous with Belgian atrocities and the death of millions of Congolese. So, although not part of the official program, Lumumba got up to speak.
We have known mockery, insults, blows from morning to night because we were Negroes. We knew that the law was never the same for whites and blacks. Who will forget the firing squads, the brutal arrests of those who refused to bow to the regime of injustice, oppression and exploitation?
Jan van Leerde, a Belgian, was Lumumba's friend.
Everyone was shocked. This wasn't in the program. I saw the king lean over and say, "Mr. President, was this planned?" And Kasavubu said, "Of course not, no." That was it. The king was very angry. He wanted to leave the Congo immediately.
Belgians opposed to Lumumba accused him of being a communist and plotted his downfall. Within days, things started to go wrong.
The Congo's own army, the Force Publique, trained in brutality by the Belgians, mutinied within a week and turned on its former masters. At first, black and white were equal victims of indiscriminate looting, rape and killing, of men and women and children alike. Soon, all hatreds turned on the Belgian settlers. And in their thousands, they poured into the cities, the airports, and onto the frontiers. Administration, medicine, engineering, teaching flew the country. Within 3 days, Belgian paratroopers were back, uninvited.
At the same time it sent in troops, Belgium also backed the secession of Congo's wealthiest province, mineral-rich Katanga. The province's leader, Moise Tshombe, was a fierce opponent of Lumumba and was a close ally of Belgium and Western mining companies. Lumumba was furious. He appealed to the United Nations for help to expel the Belgians and force the return of the breakaway Katanga province.
Lumumba and Kasavubu saw it as invasion and appealed for action to the United Nations. the Secretary General assembled an international force, built up to 19,000 men from 26 countries. This United Nations force was pledged to the restoration of law and order.
But crucially, it would not intervene in Lumumba's battle with Katanga. So Lumumba turned to the Soviets for help. And in the Cold War, that had implications.
The United States deplores the unilateral action of the Soviet Union in supplying aircraft and other equipment for military purposes to the Congo.
By September, Lumumba was under house arrest after a coup by Colonel Joseph Mobutu, a key ally of the United States and Belgium.
The Congolese army, under the leadership of Colonel Mobutu, formerly the Chief of Staff, took control of the country last night. The army was there to neutralize the situation, he said, and to maintain a political truce. Colonel Mobutu also said that he was demanding that the Russian and Czech and other Eastern Bloc embassies be closed down within 48 hours.
The coup d'etat was being made under a lot of involvement of Western embassies.
Brigadier Inderjit Riquier from India was the UN Secretary General's military representative in Congo.
Who had the most role? Obviously, the United States of America, as the premier nation in the Western system. British were involved, the French were involved. The Russians on the other side were supporting Lumumba in another fashion.
Lumumba was confined to house arrest, but one night he decided to escape and flee to Stanleyville, now Kisangani, to join his supporters who controlled the northeast. But Lumumba was recaptured by Mobutu's troops on the road and returned to Leopoldville, bound, beaten with rifles, and publicly humiliated. And despite appeals, the UN refused to intervene.
He was chained at the back of a truck, and ever so often, for the benefit of the audience, the rifle butts, kicks, and he was bleeding, he lost his glasses. We saw him go past the Royale, which was our headquarters, but we could not intervene.
But even behind bars, Lumumba was perceived to be a threat. Belgium and the other Western powers encouraged Mobutu to hand Lumumba over to his arch-enemy, Moise Tshombe, the Belgian-backed leader of the breakaway region of Katanga. It was, as everyone knew, a death sentence. In January 1961, after being flown to Katanga and handed over, Lumumba and two colleagues were taken out into the bush, put up against a tree and shot by Katangan troops under Belgian supervision. The next day, Gerard Serter, a Belgian police officer in Katanga, was ordered by the province's interior minister to destroy the bodies.
He said, you destroy them, you make them disappear. How you do it, it doesn't interest me, he said. We hacked them in pieces and put them into the acid. My helper made a fire and put them in, and we destroyed everything. We were there 2 days. We did things an animal wouldn't do. And that's why we were drunk, but stone drunk.
It was another 2 weeks before news of Lumumba's death was released. Riots erupted in the Congo. There were protests too around the world. For although Lumumba only ruled Congo for a few months, his life and death became a powerful symbol of Africa's struggle against colonialism.
Do not weep, my love. I know that my country, which has suffered so much, will be able to defend its independence and liberty. Long live the Congo. Long live Africa. Patrice.
You've been listening to Witness with me, Alex Last.